his 2014 Lifetime of Achievement honoree. And now introduce Henry's children, Birnbrey, David Birnbrey, Anita Stein, and Judy Robkin, to share their thoughts both with their dad and with us as Henry receives this year's prestigious Lifetime Achievement Award.
Dear Hines, to my great sorrow, I am unable to tell you goodbye before your departure. Therefore, it is only possible to wish you good fortune and a good future. The only thing that will bind your soul to your homeland will be your dear parents, and I wish for you and them that the three of you will be reunited. Your aunt, Paula Blinn.
Heinz Birnbrey left Dortmund, Germany on March 31, 1938 at the tender age of 14. He boarded a train, waved goodbye to his parents, and watched as their images faded in the distance. In his mind, in the mind of a 14-year-old, he was embarking on a great adventure. His parents, however, likely understood that they would never see their only child again. As part of the Kinder transport, Heinz was taken to Holland, where he would board the ship Europa to America. Upon landing at Ellis Island, he was immediately taken to Birmingham, Alabama. After 10 months in Birmingham, he moved to his new home in Atlanta.
My dear son, finally, we heard from you after a long wait for your first letter. First, I would like to hear what kind of reception you received. Is that a single woman with whom you are staying? Are there also children in the house? Are children from Germany settled there? Is the lady young? Who are your new friends? Does the lady understand any German? How are you taking to the climate? Write me especially what your thoughts were as you left. It certainly was not easy for us to give you up. I hope it was in your best interest. Now write me a detailed letter how you feel mentally and physically. Kisses to our world traveler, Mother.
Questions obviously flooded my grandmother's mind. Imagine sending your 14-year-old child to a foreign country, not a penny in his pocket, where he doesn't speak the language nor know a soul. This is the story of one person, one journey, one life that has impacted and continues to impact generations of Birnbreys, Atlantans, Jews, and the world. Heinz became Henry and quickly adapted to his new life. Because he spoke no English, he was a 14-year-old placed in the 3rd grade. But Henry advanced 1 grade a week, and within 6 months was a sophomore in high school. Upon his arrival in Atlanta, he was taken in and loved by a remarkable single mother of 2, Fanny Asmund. Aunt Fanny, as everyone called her, took in countless refugees, including Jack Hirsch, whose wife Gladys is with us tonight. My father's new sister and brother accepted him with open arms, and he became a true member of their family. Henry's older brother, David, 95, and his wife, Frida, don't worry, we won't tell, have lived in Israel since 1947, fought in the War of Independence, and had their first child during the siege of Jerusalem. His baby sister, Ruby, is 98 and has retired in Atlanta. She worked for the Joint Distribution Committee during World War II and was stationed in Vienna, where she worked with displaced persons in DP camps. It is with tremendous love that we introduce you to our Aunt Ruby, Uncle Dave, and Aunt Frida, who join us tonight.
Dear Heinz, we are surprised about your participation in sports. Do as much as you can, just don't neglect your school. Your suggestion to try Coca-Cola is good, but you know, I only do those things I can do. Mother.
Aunt Fanny, though not a wealthy woman, helped Dad buy clothing, secure a job, complete his education, and become a United States citizen. He's told us about her lending him 50 cents, $1, whatever, to buy a coat or a pair of shoes, which tells me something about my high school wardrobe. I think much of Dad's generosity and work ethic, but most of all his willingness to embrace others as family, comes from the example that Aunt Fanny set for him.
Dear Heinz, today we heard on the radio that Jewish physicians will no longer be allowed to practice beginning October 1st. And also on October 1st, no travel will be allowed. Each day, nothing good, and we're completely falling apart. No one had anticipated all of this. I can't do anything any longer. Everybody speaks about leaving, and everybody is reaching for straws and connections. Your father.
This would be the last letter Dad received from his father, who died from injuries he sustained on Kristallnacht.
My beloved boy, when you receive this letter, you will have heard the sad news of your father's death. My dear son, now it is very sad for Mother. You are so far away, and I am alone. Mother.
As a 15-year-old boy, Dad worked tirelessly to get his mother out of Germany. After applying to many countries for a visa, he finally secured one to Honduras. But before he could give her the good news, he received this letter from his uncle.
Dear Heinz, I just returned from Dortmund where I escorted your beloved mother and my beloved sister to her last rest. Your mother found her place of rest at the foot of your father.
At the age of 15, Dad became an orphan. At 18, Dad enlisted in the U.S. Army and served for over 2 years as a corporal in the 30th Infantry Division, known best by its nickname, Old Hickory. He remains incredibly proud of the 30th, a group of heroic men widely recognized for participating in more significant action than any other division in the European theater. A number of World War II movies depicted the division's heroics during D-Day, the Battle of Mortain, the Battle of the Bulge, and many other pivotal events of World War II. He would earn a Purple Heart for injuries sustained during fighting. Off the battlefield, his German proficiency proved invaluable in counterintelligence and the interrogation of German POWs and German citizens. The most heart-wrenching experience of his time in the Army, however, is noted in the following letter.
When the 30th moved on to the Braunschweig area, we encountered ditches full of dead concentration camp prisoners who had been marched from one camp to another and were shot before they had a chance to be liberated. While on this reconnaissance, we encountered a horrible odor coming from an abandoned train of cattle cars. We opened them up to find a train filled with dead, half-dead, and barely alive Jews.
Dad and his unit liberated a train filled with concentration camp Jews. He was 22 years old. Upon his return to the U.S., he studied accounting in college under the GI Bill and set out to find himself a wife. He and we were lucky that he found Rebecca Presses from Birmingham at a Young Zionist convention, and with her started a family. He opened an accounting practice, but was too poor to have his own office, so he shared a space with Dr. Marvin Kaplan, a young Atlanta dentist. When a client came in, he was escorted to the dental chair, where he never knew if he was getting a root canal or a lot. The clients who were informed about audits often opted for the root canal. When the practice grew large enough, Dad took in a young associate, and soon afterwards, the associate's little brother as well. And so, Birnbrey Minsk and Mints became a reality, and Henry, Malcolm, and Donald established a lifelong partnership, not only in the practice of accounting, but also in the practice of community building. Later, Dad would go back to school for his law degree, and once again, he took in a little brother. This time, it was Mom's baby brother, Sid Cresses, as his partner. As a young couple with young children, Henry and Ricky were involved in many community organizations, but most of their time was devoted to the Atlanta Jewish Welfare Federation, now the Jewish Federation of Greater Atlanta, and the newly conceived community day school, the Hebrew Academy. Our house was noisy and fun and full of guests. Our parents set a tone for their children that no one was a stranger. We are all family, and everyone was welcome in our home. And so Dad was well on his way to starting one of his major collections, that of acquiring family, both blood relatives and adopted ones. His family foster brother and sister, his friends, his army buddies, his clients, and his business associates. And our numbers began to grow.
Our first family trip to Israel was supposed to have taken place in June of 1967, but the Six-Day War caused us to postpone the visit by a few months, but we still went. Israel and Judaism held a central place in our lives. We watched Dad go off to meetings many nights a week, sometimes every night of the week, working to better the Jewish community both in Atlanta and in Israel. But no matter what was going on professionally or otherwise, he would always be home for Friday night Shabbat dinner. We never knew who else would be there. Soldiers, travelers, friends of friends. To this day, people remind us that they were at our Shabbat table at one time or another. All remember the stories, life lessons, and most of all, the laughter. Mom was truly a lousy cook, but an incredible hostess. And both of our parents looked forward weekly to be surrounded by their family and friends. Sadly, our mother of blessed memory died, in 1988. A year after her death, Dad married Shirley Kaufman, who had been a lifelong friend to our parents. With that marriage, we inherited 4-step siblings, 4-step spouses, 11 nieces and nephews, and 6 grandnieces and nephews, which explains why so many of you are back in the back. Unfortunately, we lost Shirley a few months ago. Years ago, Dad realized that our family had gotten too large to remember everyone's birthdays, anniversaries, graduations, and other milestones. So he created what he called the Simchagram. This one-of-a-kind announcement was originally sent by mail and later by email to all members of the family. The only way to be included is to be born into or marry into the Birnbrey family. Not the dairy my wife expected. People beg to be on it, and then once they reach an age that rather not publicize, beg to be off it. Unfortunately, once you're on it for life.
Good morning, or shalom, or better still, shalom y'all. Our topic today is from Dortmund to Atlanta.
And so Dad begins his speeches at the Bremen Museum to middle school students about his experiences leaving Germany. For many, it is their first and only exposure to a Holocaust survivor. For Dad's first 30 years in the United States, he never spoke of his past. Now he considers it his obligation to educate as many people as possible on the atrocities of the Holocaust.
Dear Noah, if everyone just practiced what is contained in this week's Parsha, we would have a better world.
Every Friday, Dad sends a Devar Torah to all of his grandchildren who are in college. He also makes a phone call to each of his children and grandchildren before Shabbat starts. That means at least 19 individual calls. There are times when his calls have to begin at 6 o'clock in the morning so that he can reach a child in Israel or France or Italy or Dad coming home from the night before. These calls are precious opportunities for his kids and grandkids to have one-on-one time discussing the past week, or the week ahead, or to review the completely inappropriate email jokes that the kids have received from Miss Saba, as Dad is affectionately known.
Yes, we have a remarkable father who deserves every honor. But it is most fitting that Dad be honored by the Jewish Federation of Greater Atlanta. He has worked passionately for Federation his entire adult life. Dad's intense commitment to institutions such as the Federation, Greenfield Hebrew Academy, the Bremen Museum, and scores of others comes from his desire not only to give back, but also to create his own community and to create family to make up for the one that was taken from him. Our Father considers everyone here family. And so, Dad, your family is here tonight to honor you. A man who came to this country alone, but has spent his entire life building a new world. 4 children, 4 in-laws, 15 great-grandchildren, 8 great-grandchildren, 8 stepchildren, 11 step-grandchildren, 6 step-great-grandchildren, sisters, brothers-in-law, nieces, nephews, cousins, foster family,
Will you hurry up?
On behalf of the Jewish Federation of Greater Atlanta, join us in presenting Henry with the Lifetime Achievement Award.
In the South, shalom y'all. If ever one of my maladies was a lack of humility, I must tell you, tonight I'm cured of that malady. I'm absolutely overwhelmed. 7 years ago, that's When I now would stand in the lobby of our Federation building and see the names who preceded me, I am in awe and fully aware that I'm standing on the shoulders of giants. I'm not sure what they meant about this lifetime business, because to the best of my memory, I did not begin with Federation until I was either 23 or 24 years old. And that was through the back door. I had moved my one-man accounting office to the old Chamber of Commerce building, and one day I decided to go and see what other tenants are, or perhaps to pick up a new client. And as I went to the second floor, I saw the offices of the Jewish Welfare Fund. I walked in, I met Ed Kahn and Bobby Johnson. I think Rose Klein was not there yet at that time, but this was my first connection to Federation. In case you never heard of Bobby Johnson, Bobby was here in BC before computers. And she was even here in BZC before zip codes. And one of Bobby's strengths was she knew by heart how much each person has pledged, and she also knew what they should have pledged. Until that time, my whole Jewish organization life had centered around the Zionist movement, where we devoted so much time to convince our government and the general public that we should have a Jewish state in Palestine. A short time thereafter, I was asked by Ed Kahn to chair an all-day event for young people and returning war veterans at the Mayfair Club to explain what the Jewish Welfare Fund was all about, and that is when it all began. When the Jewish Welfare Fund became the Jewish Community Council, I became a child board member and have proudly served as a board member and an officer ever since. Permit me to share an anecdote with you for a reason. While serving as acting president of Federation, shortly after the Six-Day War, and during the absence of David Goldwasser, who was in Korea then, I was asked to go to the airport to welcome Yitzhak Rabin on behalf of our community. And I was accompanied by a student choir from the Hebrew Academy, whose task it was to greet Mr. Rabin with an Avenu Shalom Aleichem. Well, the kids sang very off-key. And much to my embarrassment, this episode was replayed over and over again at WSB the entire day. The next day, I stormed into the office of the headmaster of the Hebrew Academy and told him, "You must get a music teacher." A music teacher was found, and believe it or not, the students have been singing beautiful and on key ever since. Now, why did I bring this up? Well, because I see in Federation an assembly of Jews from different walks of life, different religious affiliations, social connections, baritones and sopranos, and one would think that such a conglomeration should also sing off-key. But when we need to make the important decisions affecting our local Jewish community or decisions for Columbia Israel, we are always on key and speak with one voice. This is the beauty of Federation. Yes, we might contribute different amounts, but all of us sign a different pledge card. And this is what Federation is all about. I'm certain that I've gained more from my association with Federation than I've given. It has given me the opportunity to meet many greats in the Jewish world, but mainly given me a chance to give back for what I received. Yes, believe it or not, all of us here are beneficiaries of Jewish philanthropy in one way or another. I would be remiss if I didn't acknowledge that I too was a beneficiary of Jewish charity. I'm grateful that it was the Birmingham chapter of the Council of Jewish Women which provided the funds for my rescue from Nazi Germany and supported me in Atlanta for about 4 more years. While serving in the U.S. Armed Forces, it was a Jewish welfare board which provided wine and hospitality on Friday nights and matzah on Pesach. It was Federation allocations which made Jewish day schools affordable for my 4 children, 15 grandchildren, and now even have a great-grandchild in the day school as they attended the Hebrew Academy, Yeshiva High School, and the Weber School. As the kids have mentioned before, I also really want to acknowledge my foster parent and Fanny Aslan of blessed memory, who gave me a home and a new family after losing mine in the Shoah. Her daughter, my sister Ruby Sachs, is here tonight. So is her son David McLaughlin, who together with his wife came all the way from Jerusalem to join me in the celebration. At the end of World War II, Ruby worked for the Joint Distribution Committee, which is one of our big beneficiary agencies. She worked in the DP camps near Vienna, and David was among those involved in the purchase of the legendary ship, the Exodus. And during the war of independence, he served as a soldier during the siege of Jerusalem, and he later became a professor at Hebrew University School of Social Work, where he trained many of our Jewish community social workers. I want to give special thanks to my first wife, Vicky, of blessed memory, and to my second wife, Shirley, of blessed memory, and to my children who always supported and encouraged me as I spent an enormous amount of time away from home to attend meetings, conventions, and other events. And I want to recognize that some of my children and stepchildren who continue to be connected with their support of Jewish causes. If you bear with me, I'm not mentioning all of them because it would take too long. I want to highlight some of the special people who are very, very much involved. daughters, Judy and Anita, my son-in-law, Jeff Stein, my grandchildren, Rabbi Yochai Rapkin and Rabbi Ayala Rapkin, and Howie Salzberg, who devote much of their lives for the furtherance of Jewish education. My son Eddie was one of the pioneers in the founding and maintenance of the Lewis Kahn Home. My son David, his son Jonathan, my stepson Mark Kaufman for their leadership and devotion to the Jewish National Fund, and David's in-laws, Vicky and Paul Freeman, who are leading our forthcoming mission to Israel, and the Tzia Tova to the Freemans and all of you who are joining them. My son-in-law, Shai Larkin, who served in the Israel Defense Forces during the war in Lebanon, and is now the head of the American Israel Chamber of Commerce. My grandson, Noah Stein, who formed an organization to provide high holiday services for Jewish inmates who are incarcerated in Maryland prisons. My stepson, Richard Kaufman, of blessed memory, who led a very successful Federation campaign just a few years ago. My granddaughter, Navid Salzberg, who made a study and lived with a primitive Jewish tribe in Uganda, and recently completed a documentary dealing with the absorption of Jewish immigrants to Israel from the former Soviet Union and Ethiopia. And last but not least, my daughter-in-law Joanne, who was honored just last week for her leadership role in the women's division of our federation. Yes, I have truly been blessed, and I'm proud of all of my children and stepchildren and their offsprings. I also want to give special thanks to the family of my second wife, Shirley, who took me into their family and made me a part of the Kaufman family as well. Yes, my family was destroyed in the Holocaust, but I was blessed to now be a member of 3 families, and I'm grateful for that. Finally, I want to give special thanks to those who've come a long way to be here tonight. My niece, Barry Livingston from McLean, Virginia. My good friend, Adele Feldman from Westbury, New York. My granddaughter, Rebecca Stein, who came from Philadelphia. And my oldest grandchild, Rabbi Yogi Rapkin from Plano, Texas. If I can leave you with one message, it would be from Pirkei Avot, the ethics of our fathers. Rabbi Hillel said, Al tifrosh min hatzibur. Do not separate yourself from the community. This has become my motto in life. I want to thank all of you for the honor you bestowed on me. Thanks to all of you. Shalom, good night, and God bless. Thank you.